The Crit Show contains elements of horror, fantasy violence, and adult language. Content warnings can be found in the episode description.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Crit Show, where we are playing the Clockwinders. I feel like it's pretty rude that you guys never say hello back when I say hello.
Yeah, I thought you were talking to the audience.
Yeah.
I say everybody. That includes everybody. You guys are part of everybody, aren't you?
Well, I don't listen to the show, though.
I don't say hello, listeners.
Oh, that's fair.
Yeah, I wasn't even listening till just now. So.
Yeah.
There's like, in addition to you guys, there are billions of other people who never say hello back. And it's
That's
infuriating because they're part of everybody.
That's
Yeah.
fair. Hello.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I got you. I'll get you at the beginning and the end now. I'll get you guys saying hello and goodbye. Last time, y'all fought a proto-wraith. Our heroes had their encounter with the beast that had been tormenting the Wilders. Beast might not be the right word. That implies something hairy to me, and this is sort of ethereal.
All beasts are hairy. We have to break this down, but maybe not on mic right now.
We'll get to it later. The taxonomy. You guys encountered the proto-wraith, defeated it, came to the conclusion that it was of Rizul, that it was created of his soul or essence. Encountered Uisine again, who was prepared to assist in the fight, but you guys took care of it pretty cleanly. Tass tried to rub his belly as a crocodile. He tried to bite Tass's head off. You made it back to Willowdale, checked in with them, returned the moss bear hide, and started trekking back towards the Dawn Palace, where you found that with the activation of the Swamp Movement Core, the rails had been unobstructed in this area, and the car was able to freely move through the swamps once again. So you were able to board, and that is where we find you, on your way back aboard the train towards the Dawn Palace. This journey will take a little bit. It will also pass you by where Uisine said that he would be waiting for you all, where you found him catching locusts. If you recall, the tracks originally kind of buried themselves in the swamp just shy of where Uisine was, so naturally you'll be passing back by there. Is there anything you guys want to do, either immediately or along the journey? Do you want to stop and talk to Uisine like you said you would, or do you just want to blow past him?
Just wave as we go by.
What do you want to do?
Just hold an arm out and see if he grabs onto it and we pull him on board.
It's going to be with crocodile teeth, though.
Yeah, you're coming with us.
Yeah, I mean, I think we would probably be courteous enough to stop and not just have him waiting around there for an indeterminate amount of time wondering where we were.
Yeah, I feel like that might make him into an enemy of ours, and it feels a little early to be pissing off the Fae.
Yeah, so you guys travel for a fairly short amount of time. You had hiked a pretty good way back here before you encountered the car. And as you approach the grove where Uisine was originally catching locusts, I think as it starts to kind of appear out of the fog in front of you, you can see that there is a mass laying across the tracks, just like a dark kind of log-shaped mass. That as you get closer reveals itself to be a giant crocodile who is laying on its back across your tracks.
Full speed!
Yeah, I will slow the train down and then stop it.
Okay.
Excuse me, are you a real crocodile, or are you a Fae crocodile?
That feels like a needless separation.
Mostly wondering if you could talk, so I'll take that as a Fae. And Uisine?
Yes. Yes, obviously. I thought the context would be sufficient.
Why are you on your back?
He wants a belly rub, obviously.
I'll fucking kill you. I'll kill you dead. For the image. Just for the tableau. I was curious if you would try to just run me over, or if you were even paying enough attention.
Oh, no, of course we wouldn't actually try to do that. I mean, I made a joke about it, but we wouldn't actually do it.
I heard you. I've got very good ears.
I know that crocodiles have very good hearing. That's a well-known fact.
Crocodiles have ears. Everybody knows that. You can picture them right on the side of their head.
I am 100% just picturing Crocodile Uisine as Alligator Loki. Like if you've ever seen the animated version of that.
Yeah, he's still got his little hat on.
Yeah.
Have you all come to a plan yet? I feel like I've asked you this probably a dozen times so far.
And a dozen times repeated, we don't.
We are going to go home. We're going to go back to the Dawn Palace first, at least.
Oh, is your mission over then?
No, not over completely. Part of it, yes. It's just we need to go home and restock and let everybody know what we've learned and make sure that the swamp is taken care of.
Well, are you going to come back and pay me another visit before you head to your next destination? Does our challenge stand?
I don't think we'll come back by this way. Try to look at the map and the other kind of locations we know that we need to go. Would any of them lead us by here again?
Yeah, I'll kind of spread the map out like I had done before and weigh down the corners and kind of have it presented for all of us to look at the possible locations.
Depending on where you want to go next, there's not a high chance that you would need to come back this way. This could be on your route to like some of the more distant opposite side of the belt movement cores, although it wouldn't even have to be on your route. But if you're trying to go to like another nearby one next, those would be just kind of different branches off from the Dawn Palace. There wouldn't be a good reason to come back this way.
Where is I know that you love geographical questions.
And I'm so good at it.
And you're excited about this. Where on the map did we encounter that first split of the rail? Like where it's like, okay, here's where we have to make a choice on going one direction or another. Like how far away was that from the Dawn Palace?
In feet, please.
Somewhat.
Yeah. Should we...
a distance. Some distance.
Should we have a map, or is this all... Does it matter?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want this to sound like a cop-out.
Yeah.
There does not exist a map.
Uh-huh.
There is no map provided with this setting. Part of the idea is to be able to create truths. So I don't want to paint us into a corner, literally, by putting things on a map.
Yeah.
Because if it would be more interesting later that one of these things is further away and requires a perilous journey or something, I want that to be able to be true. Or it's closer because you did some narrative positioning that gives you an advantage. I want that to be able to be true.
Yeah. Is it possible to say that we've got a map? Can we put things on the map that we have established as true? Like, can we say, this is where the Dawn Palace is, and now we know this is where the swamp begins?
Yeah. I mean, I think, if we've established it to be true, it's fine to canonize it.
Okay.
But, we haven't yet established where the split in the rail was that would take you different directions.
Sure.
If we establish it to be true now, it'll be true. Does it have to be? Because could it be useful or interesting later?
I see.
If we don't establish it to be true yet. So we can solidify this right now, or we cannot solidify it. I don't know to what end you want a definite answer.
Yeah, I guess I'm just thinking, it seems like at some point these decisions might become strategic, but if we don't know one compared to the other, at least a vibe or like a north versus south kind of thing, it would be hard to make that decision.
I would feel like it would have to be very close to the city. Like, what a terrible hub for train tracks if you have to go one direction for a long way before you split off into the rest of the world.
Mm.
There was, though, just the one platform under the Dawn Palace.
Sure.
So, it's not like it's like a train station that a lot of things would be departing from and arriving at.
Also, this is a difficult world to say that in because there's so many external factors. Like the train tracks, their main purpose isn't to get from city to city, it's to get from movement core to movement core. And the position of a lot of the cities or hubs, so to speak, are also dependent on where in the belt they lie. We don't have the whole world to navigate. We have just kind of this strip, so.
Ooh, and this is really, like, I'm going into not map maker mode. I'm not particularly good at it. I made the one for tides, and that's all I've ever made. But, like, is this just one continent? Like, is the whole world a continent? Are there oceans splitting up continents? Like, what are we on? What are we working with?
I mean, I've been imagining it as a belt around the middle that's green. The top half is just fiery desert, and the bottom half is like dark sea. Anything above the belt, water would be evaporated by the constant heat. So there is no oceans or anything like that.
I picture it kind of like an ice cream cone that you've dumped magic shell on. And like, that's the land part. It's just like maybe a little over half of it is solid land to where the belt terminates and like the sea and the glaciers and the ice begins.
I think my mind is where Tass's is, not even so much like, is the world a continent? Are there oceans, whatever? But like, we're in the Dawn Palace. We've got our back to something, and we went out in the direction where all of the things exist. What's behind us?
The Burnt Lands.
Oh, okay. So we are...
Sun's Edge is the most sunward city on the belt,
Yeah,
closest to the
yeah.
Burnt Lands.
So when we left Sun's Edge, if we went left or right regardless, we could eventually hit all the movement cores as long as we never stopped going around
by
the planet.
circumnavigating the globe.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it is good to kind of have an established map for what we can. So if we do establish like that kind of ice cream cone, magic shell baseline, we can work off of that. We can add to it.
I like Tass's thought that it's got to split close to the Dawn Palace. You know, the purpose of these was to get from movement core to movement core, and they accomplish some other things along the way, kind of like the highway system, like the interstate system. Like in Hawaii, it was built to connect military base to military base, and then just also it accomplished some other shit for other people.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of like that. Like, these are supposed to go from movement core to movement core. They'll get you some other places along the way. They might have been adapted a little bit. But yeah, I'd imagine that they kind of split off close to the Dawn Palace so that Clockwinders could start heading the direction they needed to be heading sooner rather than later without going out of their way.
Yeah, well, and that makes sense that it would split off kind of soon if all we had to do was head straight out of the city to get to the swamp, but we know that there are things left and right. All of this to say, we could tell Uisine, if he does want to see more of the world, to meet us at that split in a couple of days. That would be his first taste of like going out of the swamp, and then he might be able to be like, yeah, never mind, I don't like this. Fucking crocodiles don't do well in other parts of the world.
I'm getting closer to the sun every day, and my scaly skin is drying out. This is awful.
Yeah, so I guess that would be my thought is, like, if we want to keep playing this game with him, to give him the place where the tracks split off, since I don't think we know yet which of those other locations we're going to go to.
I love this especially with the thought of meeting a crocodile on dry land and meeting him at that crossroads and being like, you want to race? And he's like, yeah. And we're like, great, hit the gas.
So yeah, I think after a moment of looking at the map, if you want to follow this track, you know, we talked about going other places. Just to give you a kind of a taste of it, we could meet you at the place where all of these tracks kind of come together. And by then we'll know where we're going. But then it's also a chance for you to like get out of the swamp a bit and be like, oh, I don't like this. Or, oh yeah, this is cool. Let's let this bet ride.
Yeah, Uisine, no longer a crocodile. Uisine back in his gnomish form. He is also looking at the map, and he's kind of stroking his chin. He's like, that's dangerously close to human civilization.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how comfortable I feel getting that close to a human metropolis. Are there many crocodiles in that area?
Why did everyone just turn and look at me?
Well, you're the experienced hunter.
No, there's obviously not crocodiles out there.
There. He's like looking around, trying to think of other tall grass.
Yes, there is quite a bit more night side directionally from the city.
Well, I am quite small.
Yes.
Can you turn into anything else?
Wouldn't you like to know, Weather Boy?
Yes, I would, because then I could, you know, we might be able to tell you like, oh yeah, be that, because that's seen around the area.
He kind of like narrows his eyes, sizing you up.
Oh, you think I'm trying to like learn all your tricks?
No.
I mean, Uisine, if you're not comfortable going out there, you don't have to take this bet.
Yeah, like we won't think any less of you.
No.
What? What is the are you guys trying to goad him into it? Are you trying to talk him out of it?
We all have different.
Yeah. I'm just trying to keep him alive, because If we leave here, he's gone forever. This NPC.
He ceases to exist.
Yeah.
There will probably be more NPCs along the way, though.
We don't need those.
You don't have to keep this
We
one.
found the one.
We found him.
Tass, you can always use your special move
That's true.
in a city and have a friend.
That's true.
If I'm playing it true to Uisine, if I'm playing it true to the things that are true about Uisine, I think he says, I'll tell you what. I'll do you all a kindness. I'll let you out of this bargain. I'll just stay back here in my swamp. It's okay. You don't need to feel bad about failing the challenge, but maybe we part ways here, and if we cross paths again one day in the swamps, so be it.
Failing a challenge?
It's okay. I know it's a ding to your ego, but you can
no.
just-
We didn't fail a challenge.
It's fine, dear. I'll let you off the hook.
I get it. Like, kings can be very uncomfortable outside of the courtroom, so you don't want to leave.
He's really torn about that. On the one hand, you did refer to him as a king. On the other hand, you kind of called him an indoor cat. Good. Yes, that's a good enough reasoning. I am a king. I am the king of the swamp.
Reasoning to stay or go? I'm confused.
So am I.
Uisine, it's been real.
It's been real, and it's been fun, and it's been real fun. Good luck on your journey. I hope that we encounter each other again someday. Preferably when it is positively the most inconvenient for you.
I'm certain it will be, my boy.
He gives a little salute and hops out the window of your train car, and
Oh, there he goes.
on the way to the ground, he turns into a crocodile and kind of disappears under the muck and starts to swim away into the swamp.
And as mysteriously as he appeared, he's gone.
No, I can still see him.
Nuh-uh. I'm very well camouflaged. All you can see are the ads.
I start the train.
Okay.
He's just getting.
Back into the swamp. I'm gonna fucking get him. You're not getting away from me. You fire the train back up and resume your passage towards Sun's Edge. As you travel, you break free of this perpetual fog that hangs over the swamp. You can see the sun shining once again, and it is becoming brighter and brighter as you get closer to Sun's Edge, as you get closer to the static position of the sun.
Oh, I missed this dry heat.
Like Arizona. After some hours, your train kind of sinks back into that tunnel that leads under the city, and you are able to traverse your way back through the torch-lit cavern and back towards the rail platform underneath the palace and disembark, heading back up to the surface.
I got to tell you, when we go back out, I'm going to feel a lot better because I don't know why it feels weird riding in reverse.
I told you, if you just face the other way, it won't feel like you're in reverse.
Yeah, I know, but then like the forward and backward are switched.
Is this canon? Does Kade canonically just only face one direction, no matter which way the train car's traveling?
Yeah. I've set up a rear view mirror to look in.
You add the beeping that like commercial trucks have when they're going in reverse.
Just for
It's
a
like-
day and a half.
Yeah, it's there is no backwards. There has to be.
Directions mean things.
Yeah.
You head back up above ground and out into the open air of the grounds of the Dawn Palace, where you are met by Chief Forbin and Hector, who seem to have been awaiting your return. And Chief Forbin says, "You're back. Can I take that to mean that it went well?"
Oh, it went very well. We did great.
She kind of looks at the other two of you for confirmation whether that's accurate.
Yeah. We got one of the other areas cleaned up and the track is reopened that way because like that core was powering part of the track. So like when we got there, it was unusable. But then once the core started working again, it was like self-cleaning.
And she kind of looks at Hector, and Hector muses for a second. He says, "Well, I mean, these tracks didn't work until you fired up this core either. I wonder if that's going to be a recurring thing. Maybe the cores power the tracks in their nearest vicinity, and once it's up and running again, so too will the train."
Yes, depending on proximity on that might be something that we just keep in mind as indication of whether or not we're particularly close to one that we aren't aware of the exact location.
Oh, that's a good point.
Chief Forbin, we do have some bad news, though. The station in the ether swamps. Well, it started to sink, and the Clockwinder who was stationed there, well, he died because nobody came back for him. And then he turned into a wraith that wasn't exactly a wraith. I look at Einon.
I just nod. Yes, that's right.
And so there's nobody there to maintain the core anymore.
Chief Forbin looks really shocked by that news, upset by that news. And she kind of gestures for you all to follow as she starts to march back towards the palace proper. And she's talking to all of you and to Hector. She's kind of talking to herself though. She says, "We had an agent stationed out there and they were abandoned. We forgot about we left somebody to die out there."
Yes, his name was Rizul. I found his journal, so I kind of had an idea of what his last days were like. But yeah, it seemed he broke his ankle and was waiting to be relieved, and that never happened.
She kind of shakes her head at the name. "I don't recognize it, Hector." And Hector kind of nods. He says, "It sounds familiar. I feel like it's somebody I've encountered one time or another."
It definitely would have been quite a while ago because that whole area is sinking down into quicksand now. And it was, he was mostly bones, and that's a wet environment.
But there were a lot of scavengers in that area, so
That's true.
it does make sense that, well, he would be in the state that he was in, and it's really hard to kind of date back and figure out exactly when this would have happened.
Chief Forbin marches you all through the large front doors and into the main entry hall of the Dawn Palace. You see a handful of those fledgling Clockwinder acolytes making their way to and fro in here. But she leads you upstairs and into a chamber that is somewhat near her office where you had convened with her before you left. That looks to be something of a records room or a library or what passes for one. And she starts flipping through sheafs of paper. Things are not well organized in here. She's kind of grabbing stacks in both hands and looking at what's on top of them to determine if it might have what she needs. And she spends a few minutes talking to herself under her breath, frustrated that this happened. How could this have happened? And what other personnel might they have missed? What other shit like this might they have caused, as she's just flipping through shit, until she finally does find something that seems to be of interest to her, and she's reading through. You can see her eyes darting back and forth quickly, and she kind of frustratedly hands it over to Hector, who looks it over as well, and he heaves a big sigh. "Yep, we were supposed to send somebody out to collect Zul, but in all the panic and turmoil of drawing back personnel in the midst of conflict with the Fae, this just got overlooked. That's a real mark on our record, among a laundry list of others, I suppose."
Well, the good news is that there's an automaton out there that's still working at the actual core, not at the station. Like I said, the station itself is sinking in quicksand. I don't know that the tracks working again will remedy that, but there is a relatively safe place where this Arctis J4 is still operational, and he was able to help us out, and he can't, do anything to the core itself, but he's protecting that area. So, if you want to send someone out there to actually now maintain that core, there is a giant robot there to help protect them.
She again looks kind of shocked at this statement, like this hadn't occurred to her, and she's not sure how she feels about it. She reels a little bit. "Oh, send personnel back out to actually occupy and man the cores? It's been so long."
Yes, forgive me, but the entire reason we're doing this is to save all of us, is it not?
Well, yeah.
I assume that also means saving our future populations?
Yeah, you'd hope.
Yeah. Well, all these are going to do is degrade again. We have to stop what we have been doing, which is, forgive me, nothing.
And it's not urgent. And we'll give you a full breakdown of the way that core worked and what you got to do to access it. It absolutely is starting to degrade again as we speak, but it's a long process. So it's not like you got to get someone there in the next week, but in the next couple of months, even if you could make, even a handcart to go on that track. Because like I said, it works now. Someone can get there and there's someone there to protect them. There is a little community there. I guess they kind of move around, but there is people there to trade with and hunt with and stuff.
To be honest, I don't know how important it is to have somebody stationed there at all. That may be how it was done for a long time, but Clockwinders also just did tours. as long as you're sending people out, maybe not by themselves, but in pairs at least, to regularly maintain the course, there's not really a necessity for anyone to have to stay out there and be in danger by themselves.
I feel like the bigger danger is getting there and back, that once you're there, it's okay.
I agree. This has somewhat profoundly affected me, I must admit. When we started, for me, this seemed like a chance to go out and see places that I haven't yet, interact with Fae that I haven't yet. The state of the cores and how they work, that really meant very little to me outside of, well, keeping the planet as it is so that we survive. But the importance of what the Clockwinders were and what they could be again, that has really been rekindled in me, thanks to my time with Maxine and Kade here. This is important. We have become a shell of what we once were, and I think it should be an honor, again, to be a Clockwinder. We need to rebuild. We need to do this properly.
Hector sort of listens to all that with like crossed arms and a little bit of a bemused smile. Chief Forbin is like very into it. Is like upright and chin high, like very into the words you're saying. She nods. I agree with everything you're saying. I think the big problem is just how short-staffed we are.
Yes, of course, and I'm not saying that this is something we can fix overnight. Of course not. We've got so much work ahead of us already just in fixing the others first, but, well, if I may say so, I think we've somewhat accidentally stumbled across quite an effective sort of a team. An analyst, an engineer, a survivalist. If we can build these teams to go out and regularly patrol and maintain these cores, make it a position of honor, make it something people strive to be a part of, that is important work.
And Einon's right. We do have quite a few places we have to visit yet, and we thought maybe giving you this information now would give you time to, well, sort of start preparing for what needs to happen with the cores as we fix them.
As we find these, there was a community near there. Like, I realized that Maxine found her way here because of her grandparents, and I found my way here because of Smee. How are you finding the new ones? Like, maybe that's something else we should look for as we encounter groups. Like, is there anyone here that seems like they've got an aptitude for this kind of thing? And, oh, hey, look, you live close by. Go in for some training, then you can go home, and you maintain the one by where you live.
Brilliantly said, yes.
Chief Forbin pulls out her little leather notebook and starts like scratching away in it, kind of nodding as you're speaking. I mean, right now the big problem with getting personnel is just, frankly, it's our reputation. The Clockwinders have fallen from grace, and that's not undeserved. Somehow we need to get the word out that, well, that we're back, I guess. We need to make people respect the institution again. We need to make people aware of what you've accomplished and get them excited. I mean, it's been so long that we've had to conscript people into duty. If we're going to get good personnel, we got to make Clockwinder something you want to be.
Not going to be a huge impact, but I got an idea for where you can start. Reach in my bag and I pull out the old ragged tabard. This is something that was on his body and something that Arkady had to see to, like, take orders from us. It'd be nice to have something to show off, show people while we're there.
Hector takes that from you and kind of laughs, lets out like a low whistle. My goodness, it's been a long time since I saw one of these.
I don't know that it needs to be a tabard, but something to identify yourself so that when you're helping people, you don't even have to tell them. Like, oh, hey, we're helping you, we're Clockwinders. They see it and they know that they're in good hands.
I slap him on the back. I think that's brilliant. Bloody brilliant. We take this, we update it. We give it a more modern design, maybe less tabard and more of, some kind of uniform. And from now on, when we stroll into these communities looking for cores and making meaningful change, we'll be your vanguard of advertisement.
Well, not maybe something that we have to wear, because I will say there are a couple other communities that I've been to where if we were, oh, hey, we're Clockwinders, we're going to get the shit kicked out of us.
And that is entirely fair, but having them and implementing them as tools when necessary,
Absolutely.
I agree. Yes.
But I don't want like a tattoo or something that I got to then try to hide.
Hector laughs again. I think a uniform is a perfectly reasonable middle ground between a tabard and a tattoo.
That's actually on a cross-stitch pattern in my living room.
If you all want uniforms, I'm sure that we could get working on that. If you want to go lower profile, it could be something as simple as a badge, but...
Two things can be true.
Well, I suppose. I'm just talking about how short-staffed we are already.
Yes, well.
2 new creative projects.
Wait, please tell me you're not going to make these in-house. Like, we got a tinsmith, we got a seamstress in town. I don't want to see you bent over a sewing machine, Hector, trying to make a tabard or a petticoat or something.
Bro, I'm a master crafter.
I cosplay all the time.
I could leave them in the dust with how fast I'll get these badges made. Oh, you watch me. Again, Chief Forbin is kind of nodding along like she seems into this plan. She heads out of the records room and back towards her office. I know you're all probably itching to move on to the next one, but I mean, with the repairs to 2 of them, the rate of Kadvini's rotation should have slowed. You're probably not going to love this, but do you think you guys could make time for some, like, public appearances? Something to rekindle the faith around here before you head out again? I think if people had a name and a face to put to this, it would really help.
I quite like that. I'd had theories, speaking of which, I don't know how precisely trackable the spin has been so far. My theory had been it's not going to slow at all until we get them all fixed, so I'm interested to know for certain if fixing 1 or 2 is adding any meaningful change yet.
Yeah, and I think a little bit of time here is okay. I think that both Maxine and I don't want to leave here until you've got a full copy of the things that we've learned out there.
She looks to you, Einon. She says, to be perfectly honest, I haven't been watching the instruments since you all left. I mean, this sounds kind of dark, but I was kind of afraid to get my hopes up. But, I mean, the movement cores they're interconnected, but they each do work. Think of them like fingers on a hand. Like, it might not work as well if it's missing the thumb, but it'll still accomplish something.
That's good to know.
So there should have been some improvement with you repairing these cores. I just haven't been able to document it yet.
Oh, so like the movement cores are like 2 hands holding the planet and all the fingers have gone numb, and now we're bringing back feeling to like 2 of them, and so they can grip on kind of nice and safe.
Or like fingers in a puppet show where...
Oh.
I'm just trying to think of other ways they're fingers.
Chief Forbin thinks for a second. She says, okay, why don't you guys go with Hector for now? Start refreshing him on everything you learned about the core, what kind of damage you saw. Maybe you can all put your heads together and come up with an idea of what kind of recruits we're looking for or what their training regimen might look like. I'm going to start trying to put together some ideas of how we can get you all public-facing over the next couple days.
I'd also like to put together a bit of a survival guide for the ether swamps as well. Flora and fauna, the peoples there, things like that, because in the immediate, I think it will be important to begin with the new recruits, sending them out, letting them see the core out in the swamps. That way we have more and more experienced people that can speak on this while we're gone.
Okay. If you feel like that's where your efforts would be better served, I think that's also a good idea. Kade, Maxine, you 2 can work with Hector. Einon, you get working on that survival guide. We have a plan?
I quite like it.
Very good. Hey, thank you. I can't put enough meaning behind those words. Thank you. You are saving the world.
I'm just glad that we have the opportunity to.
The definition of duty. Proper Clockwinder. Dismissed.
I think as we turn to leave, Kade reaches out like towards her desk to like just kind of run his hand on it. He leaves a scrap of paper there with something written on it as he leaves.
Okay. Let me know what that is.
I can even tell you on mic. I just didn't want to fluster Maxine.
Can we all separate player knowledge from character knowledge?
Yeah, man, I don't care.
Yeah.
Megan's like, whatever. So chill. You'll just have to remind me that I don't know about it in character, maybe.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay.
I'm not even listening.
Yeah, what's it say?
It just says, please gather any books you have on ether sickness. I don't know if that's the right term. Like, what would they call it when you start to gain these abilities?
Corruption, probably.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just a simple note that just says, please gather any books you have on this topic.
Okay. Yeah, I think like as you are heading out the doors, you do one glance back and see that she has noticed that and picks it up to read it.
Okay.
As the doors to Chief Forbin's office close behind you, where is each of you heading?
I think I'm going to go visit an old friend.
Cryptic?
I'm going to head back to the records room to get my notes ready to talk with Hector.
Okay.
I'm going to head down to the train.
Alrighty. So we see the three of you split off to enact your contributions to this plan. And I think that's where we're going to leave it off for this one. So, there it is. All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us for another episode of The Crit Show, where we have been playing the Clockwinders. If you would like more information on the game or the setting, you can find that in the episode description. If you are interested in more content that we have created, you should check out our Patreon. That is patreon.com/thecritshow. If you donate, you can get your name read at the end of an episode, just like Jan Masick and OKWTF. Thank you. And sorry if I mispronounced either of those.
Okupatif.
Octwoof. Thank you, and join us again next time for another episode of The Crit Show. Everybody say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Watch out behind you.
The Crit Show is a Critshow Studios production, edited and produced by Brandon Wentz, with music by Jake Purley. You can find more information about us at thecritshowpodcast.com. To keep up to date with upcoming live shows, contests, and other special events, follow us at The Crit Show on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. For even more weekly content, join us at patreon.com/thecritshow.